Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the 808 podcast where I interview business owners, CEOs, executives, whoever else I feel like. 4 questions in 8 minutes and 8 seconds because 808 looks like Bob. And here we go. Number 1, a couple sentences. Tell me who you are and what do you do?
Hey, Bob, good afternoon. My name is Alan McKee, and I am the co-founder and CEO of Acurata Hospice software based in Sarasota, Florida. And Acurata helps hospice organizations automate the dispatching of night and weekend critical care nurses to a patient's home in the event of a healthcare emergency, which when you're talking about hospice care could literally be a matter of life or death. And in addition to increasing the level of patient care, job satisfaction and retention rates for nurses increase as well, which is key in today's very tight labor market for hospice nurses.
Perfect there. So question number 2, how do I improve my hospice CAHPS score? Go.
Good question. Well, since we work with the hospice industry, my advice focuses on CAHPS scores for hospice operators. But because so many of us have had friends or family that have received hospice care, this will give everyone some insight into the challenges hospices face when caring for our loved ones, and maybe some questions to ask in the event a need arises for hospice care. So we all know the hospice industry helps patients and their families deal with end-of-life issues in a dignified and compassionate manner. But in the midst of this, hospice organizations have to balance the need to provide the best possible care with the harsh realities of rising costs, staffing shortages, increasing competition, and don't forget government compliance and oversight. And part of that compliance and oversight is something called the CAHPS Family Caregiver Survey, which is a national survey that Medicare sends out to family members who cared for a patient who died while they were under hospice care. And that survey has 47 questions on it, covering topics related to the care provided by the hospice organization that took care of their loved one. And this is the family's chance to grade the care their loved one received from the hospice. Now, these survey scores are published as part of Medicare's website, and they're used by patients and families to compare hospice scores and helps them choose one hospice organization over another when the need arises. It's basically a hospice report card that's made public. So as a hospice organization, you obviously want to put your best foot forward. And some of the very first questions on the survey pertain to 3 main areas: getting timely help during nights and weekends, communication with family regarding nurse arrival times, and did the family feel like their loved one was treated with respect and felt truly cared for by hospice staff. And these are the 3 areas that we at Acurata specifically target in order to help hospices make the best impression possible by exceeding expectations in those areas. So we all know that getting a field nurse to a patient's home at night or on the weekend can be a challenge. Staffing's lighter, but the service area hasn't changed. It's still the same coverage area. And when a caregiver calls in for help, they're stressed, anxious, and they just want a nurse there as quickly as possible. So the question becomes, how can you get the right nurse to the right patient in the shortest amount of time and in a time that a struggling patient or stressed caregiver would consider timely? So not surprisingly, that getting timely help score in the CAHPS survey is one of the lowest scoring sections on the entire survey, with an average of only 78% of families being satisfied with the response times. Now, the next area the survey addresses is closely related to getting timely help, and that's communication with the caregiver. Specifically, did the hospice keep them informed as to when that nurse would arrive to care for their loved one? In a busy night and weekend call center, this isn't always possible. And even when it is, it remains difficult to give a patient's family an accurate nurse arrival time. And rounding out that first set of questions is whether or not the family felt like their loved one was treated with respect. And I think we can all agree that this is a pretty subjective question. But because of the compassion and dedication of those who have chosen hospice as a career, this area actually has the highest average score on the entire survey, where 91% of families feel that their loved one was treated with respect and dignity. And kudos to the industry. That's a high score indeed, but I know that they all strive for 100%, especially when it comes to showing compassion and respect to a patient and their families. So some industry studies have suggested that family members equate long nurse response times in an emergency as not caring for their loved one. Now, we know that's not the case, but of course, lowering those response times could have a direct impact on raising that 91% average and obviously looking better on your report card. And of course, at Acurata, we believe that improving that night and weekend response time and having the ability to give caregivers real-time updates on exactly when their nurse will arrive doesn't just raise CAHPS scores for timely response and communications with family, We think getting nurses to a patient's home 43% faster and keeping the family updated the entire time makes a family member feel that their loved one was cared for and respected. And that's what we can do for hospice organizations. So, imagine the impact, the positive impact that faster response times and increased communication with families can have on an organization's patient care level and their CAHPS scores.
Mm-hmm. Love it. Love everything you said. That's great advice. We got 2 minutes and 55 seconds left. Question number 3. What other CEOs, founders, executives that you personally know that you want to give a shout out to?
Absolutely. I'm going to sneak 2 in on you here, Bob. The first one is Ryan McKee, who's a COO of Networks Technology Group here in Sarasota, Florida. And since upwards of 60% of cyber attacks are made on small businesses, his goal is to help small business educate their employees and identify and close the door on potential security weaknesses in their network. And given the recent events of the world, cyber attacks have been on a steep rise, as we all know. So his work is crucial to helping small businesses protect their critical data. And the second shout out goes to my friend and actually my cousin, Paul Lavoie, who until recently was general manager of Carey Manufacturing in Connecticut, which is my home state. And I say until recently because about a month ago, Paul was tapped by the Connecticut Governor, Ned Lamont, to be the chief manufacturing officer for the state of Connecticut. And in his new role, he's responsible for creating innovative ways to grow the manufacturing base in the state. He's already making a huge impact. So congrats to both of those guys for the important work that they do to help the business community.
Absolutely. There was 1 minute and 50 seconds left. Number 4, tell me about your most epic sale.
Yeah, I'd have to say our most epic sale, Bob, was probably Acurata's very first sale. And not because of the size of it, but mainly because Acurata had created a new segment by providing a solution to a problem that organizations knew they had, but never had a solution for. And as an example, if a company has a problem with, say, running payroll, they know there are plenty of companies that offer payroll services. So they just go to Google, they Google it, and they find a payroll company. Right. For us, hospices don't even know that there's an automated in-house solution for scheduling night and weekend triage nurses. And because there's never been one, they just live with the problem. They don't even think to Google it because they don't know a solution exists. Right. So our biggest challenge has been getting the word out. So that first customer, that first sale validated for us that there was a tremendous need for what we offer. And that validation encouraged us to keep going and raising awareness about Acurata. So yeah, that first sale was epic. Plus, Perfect. It didn't hurt that our first customer was the largest nonprofit hospice organization in the country, which Absolutely. Was further validation that there's definitely a need for what Acurata provides.
Absolutely. So
that
great.
First sale will always be part of our story.
It is true. Hey, Alan, you got 40 seconds left. Do some promo time real quick.
Well, the big question for us in our business is in the event of emergency, how can you get a hospice, get the right nurse to the right patient in the quickest amount of time? And we do that by offering a solution that automates, we call it automating, locating, and communicating, automating the call center intake process, which is usually a handwritten process, locating field nurses in real time and patients on a map display allows call centers to immediately assign the closest nurse to the patient, and communicating accurate nurse arrival times to patients and family caregivers. And that's what we do in a nutshell. There's our 40-second speech there.
Excellent. And you pulled it off right on the nose there. 4 questions.
About that. Excellent.
Seconds. Alan, why is it 8 minutes and 8 seconds?
Well, because 808 looks just like Bob.
Gold star for Alan. Say your website real quick.
Our website is Acurata.us. So and it's US.
Yep. It's in the description. It's magic. Alan, thank you so much for being on. Tip of the hat to you.
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. And for everyone else watching or listening, I'm legally required to tell you to like, share, comment, subscribe, thumbs up, ring the bell, whatever the heck the social media tells you to do. You all have a wonderful day now. Talk to you later. Bye.